Alright, so today we're gonna get this front bumper off for a friend of mine. As you can see, it's all spidered. Front lip, it's all chipped up and spidered for some reason. It's had a really nice repaint done a few years ago, and it's never taken abuse very well. You know, like all this spidering happened in a very, very low speed collision, and the rock chips or like any piece of debris that hits the bumper chips it. So I don't know what's up with that, but we're gonna go ahead and get this off. The guy that put this bumper on before replaced what would normally be push pins with 7mm bolts, and he's got them holding the airbox in too, and it's kind of being a pain in the ass. This car also has the Hawks like ram air ducts on it that draw from down in the grill, and they're just self-tapered into the factory airbox, and you cut the bottom out. I've never actually seen these. That's kind of interesting. So I guess once you get the self-tappers out, you just give the old one pull until it comes out. So to me, the trick to getting these bumpers off generally is to pull the whole front end. You get the ground effect rocker panel off from the inside, and then you just pull the fenders, the bumper as one big piece, and the front lip. Or sometimes you can even do it with the side skirt. You do it all, take the whole thing off in one giant piece. It's super easy, but if you don't do that, you pull the fender liner out, and then you can kind of snake like 2 feet of extension and a swivel socket in there and just buzz those bolts right off. So I kind of stopped filming. I got a little bit in the zone. Bumpers off. Front lip came with it. The headlight bar is unbolted too, I think. Or it's almost unbolted. I'm getting that off because this is going to paint. So yeah, I mean, once you have the fender liner off, it's easy. Especially if you have power tools. You can buzz everything right off. And it's nice and easy. Bumper's getting painted. While it's here, it's I'm gonna fix the heat. The diverter valve blew out at some point, so the heater core is looped right now. So we're gonna do that, and then I think these turn signals leak a little bit. There's some water in there, so I'm either gonna take them off and reseal them, or I think I'm gonna get them to just replace them entirely while it's off. So maybe we'll have a little bit more to do later as far as prep work goes, but until then I'm not really sure. I planned on just filming a whole video, but kind of got really into getting this bumper off. It took me less than an hour, and I really don't do this a whole lot. I do mostly Firebird stuff, so we'll see. Alright, so I got that whole bumper thing taken care of, got the headlight bar off, so we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of OCMD Cruisin prep. So yeah, CCWs, I made a video about these before, and I was going to powder coat them, but then I kind of realized, like, you know what, polish would look a little better. It's a lot of black on my all black Corvette, so we're going to polish these things up a little bit, and get some tires on tomorrow, get them torqued down tomorrow, and then yeah, be on our way with a nice Stance Boy C5Z. Buffed off. I always went for some of the bad spots. I didn't really try to get too crazy with it, but I think I need a more aggressive polish. Like, I mean, it's pretty shiny, but you can see the defects in the shine for sure. And I just don't think that mother's polish is aggressive enough, and the Powerball I don't think is going fast enough. I would love to do this with a rotary polisher, but I don't think that's very viable in the time I have. I have about 3 days till cruise week. So I polished this one a while ago, but if you're looking around the bolts, it's like kind of tarnished. I guess I didn't do a very good job, so I'm gonna get back in there with the power cone, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, that didn't really work. You can still see all the tarnish. I think if anything, I just made these areas a little shinier. So that's the second time these have been polished in that spot. you know, I'm guessing I'm gonna have to take it apart again and wet sand the lip of the face, I mean, to try to get rid of some of that tarnish and then polish it back up. But I think for now I'm just gonna send it, you know, 10 miles an hour and 10 feet away. It doesn't look absolutely horrible. So I think I ended the last video on Tuesday night when I was finishing up polishing the CCWs. Today's Thursday, so I'm leaving for Cruise Week tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon-ish, and we got the new wheels on. New tires too. The sidewalls are a little bigger than I had hoped, and I'm not really too unhappy about it though. It raised the car up enough that it doesn't scrape on literally everything. The back definitely fits a lot better than the fronts do. Sidewalls in the front are pretty tall, but I did that to try to kind of even the ride height out a little bit. And these are Sumitomo ZTRs or something. I got something super cheap just because it was easier that way. In these sizes, I forget what size I got. I think I got 335s, 315, 35, 17. They don't have a whole lot of options as far as, you know, all seasons or long tread wear goes. So I got a set of Sumitomos. The way I looked at it was I can get 2 sets of them for the same price as 1 set of Goodyears, which is the next closest option, and it'll last twice as long as the treadwear lasts longer. So it just seemed like a logical thing for me. And they're Continentals in the front. They're a little better. But yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. It's ready for Cruise Week. I wanted to get videos of the tires, but I mean, I don't really think anyone wants to see tires getting mounted. Plus, the guy that owns this Camaro did it for me because I pulled his bumper for him. And the plan was for that to be done by today, so we could mount the bumper tomorrow, and then have that ready for Cruise Week too. This was all Cruise Week prep, and that's not gonna happen. The bumper didn't get picked up until today, so there's no way that's gonna work out. And I feel like everywhere in the Northeast it's been raining for the last 3 days, but I need to get my my badge back on. I don't know if you can see, there's holes here from where the badge goes. I really like the D-badge look, but I don't want to run around with holes in my bumper. But the paint's finally cured enough I can put the double-sided tape on and not worry about it taking the paint with it. The only problem is it's been raining for 4 days. And it's supposed to keep raining all weekend and everything, so I'm doing no prep as far as you know, waxing this or anything like that. But there's a little bit of prep we need to do to the Firebird too, so I think that's going to be the next clip in the video. I think my dad's taking that car down just so he has something to drive. And yeah, we need to do a heat delete and a cruise control delete because of the vacuum lines. It just gets in the way, and then put the intake on now that it runs better. So we'll talk about that a little more in a second. Oh, and another reason I went with the tire sizes that I did was because the total height of this 285/40/17 is the same height as the 18 that was on the back, because I went from a staggered set, 17/18 stagger, to a 17 square. So I wanted to keep the same ride height, or at least close to it, you know, without having to play with the ride height on the leaf springs or anything like that. And it got pretty close. It's a little higher, which is what I was kind of going for. It worked out nice. The only thing I don't like is there's a little bit of poke. The wheel isn't straight, but you can see there's about ½ inch of poke there. And I think if I would have gone with the 275, it would have had to stretch, because these are 17x11s in the front. It would have been a decent stretch, but it probably would clear the fender a little bit. I'm a little worried about that. But then in the back, they fit pretty good. They're, you know, I'm not a stance kid. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to camber it in and just, you know, make sure it clears, but it's not really my thing, and neither is stretch, which is why I went with the 285. But yeah, like I said, it worked out pretty nice. I'm a little worried about hitting bumps and stuff with that poke, but it should be okay. You know, the tire is going to go up and into the fender, not straight up, so hopefully it doesn't, you know, destroy the lip. Plus, since these are fiberglass, there's not like a pinch weld here or anything like there would be with a fender, where, you know, I'd need to get it rolled. They're already about as tight as you're going to ever get as far as fenders go. Alright, so we're back in the garage with the shitty lighting. We're in the Firebird. I think the last time I made a video about this, I washed it. It didn't run very well. It wouldn't stay idling. And it sucked. So then I played with the tune in another video, and that still sucked. And then I put it back to the tune I had before because I realized it wasn't a good idea to just mess with the tune when it had like 2-year-old gas and unknown spark plugs, and who knows if the coil was any good. So basically I did the plugs that I could in the driveway, and you might have noticed the driveway's on a hill, so I can't very well use a jack or anything. It's kind of sketchy, so I did just the plugs I could get from the top, which basically is 1, 2, and 3, I guess. And like the plugs were pretty cooked. Like this one isn't terrible. This one was really wet, and I don't know why. You can see there's a ton of oil in the threads there, and the gap is definitely tighter than the others, you know, compared to this one. But there was one specific plug that really was alarming. It's the new auto lights I was going to put in. Let's see if I can find it. Basically, there was no plug gap, and it was kind of strange. And I figured part of that was part of the reason why it ran so poorly, was because the plug was so tight. But let me find this and I'll show you this one that was really tight. I think I opened it back up a little bit, but that plug gap, I think when I checked it, was like less than 0.01. I think it was very, very, very small. And I did a coil as well. I had an MSD coil on there that I put on like years ago, but I got it on eBay, so who knows if it was real. So I got a real Street Fire, and I put that on there, and I didn't have the right size Allen key to get the coil off because I have a stealth ram, so they're Allens, and they're old and rusted, and they've been heat cycled, and it's just going to chill there for now. But if you look back there somewhere, you can see there's another MSD coil. And then somewhere else in that little timeline I gave you, I installed the EBL flash, and I don't know if... Yeah, I took it back out because the car ran even worse on the EBL. I used their base tune, and I tried to get it running long enough to data log it and do some VE learns, but I couldn't even get it there. I couldn't import my my existing tune into that ECM. It uses a different definition file, so I couldn't do that. And overall, it was just kind of a really shitty experience. I tried playing with it and playing with it and playing with it, and I couldn't get it to run well, or I mean really at all. You'd put it in gear and it would stall. It would ping like crazy, or you'd pull timing and it wouldn't run at all. And as soon as I put the stock 7730 back on with the one tune I had on there, it ran 100 times better. It actually could drive. I drove it to Wawa, I put gas in it, and all was good. And I still need to refine it a little bit. Like I said, I lost my good tune a couple years ago. I don't know what exactly happened there, but I'm gonna drive to the shop one day soon and put the rest of the plugs in, put the wideband in, and then try to figure out the EBL thing. I really want to use that ECM just because it's so much more capable. But anyway, what we're here today to do is, I don't know if you can see it, there is some green staining over there coming from the heater core. You can see there's a drip getting ready to come off of that bolt right there. Right there. So yeah, when I drove this thing to Wawa to get gas, I smelled the coolant, and I was like, it can't be that bad. And I saw a little bit of fog on the windshield, and I was like, yeah, whatever. It can't be a heater core. No way. Well, the heater core's leaking. So what we're going to do is basically just loop the heater core. So we're going to take this diverter valve here, runs from the intake, from that water port to the diverter valve, and that's what controls if it goes to the heater core or not. So basically we're going to go get a 5/8 hose or a 3/4 hose, I'm not sure which one yet, Might get both, and run it from that elbow to this lower port on the radiator, and that's it. That's how you bypass your heater core. It's really simple. If that Camaro out there has it done a little different, it had the diverter valve break, and we didn't have a long enough hose to go from there to there, so the heat's always on. I think the diverter valve's like tucked up over here by the blower motor, something goofy like that. And then, like I said, we're gonna put the intake on and do the cruise control delete. I might do a complete video on the cruise control delete, but we'll see. All right, open the garage door, let the rain in, kind of let some more light in too. So we'll start with the cruise control delete just because it's easiest. Basically, here is your throttle cable bracket right here. That is your throttle cable. This is for your cruise control. And then the one on the other side is for the TV cable to the trans. So I think that's the order it goes in. Yeah, that's definitely it. Either way, this is your cruise control cable. This clip right here, you have to pull the tab to get it off, and then you can kind of slide it out. You don't want to lose this clip. It is stupid expensive for what it is. And as far as I know, the only place you can get them is the dealer. I've had to order them before because I've broken them or lost them, and I get kind of mad every time because it's expensive for how stupid this little piece is. So if you can see, let me focus this real quick. You want to pry on that and then slide it back. When you have two hands, it's a little easier. So that's off. I guess if you're deleting your cruise control, you don't really care if you lose that or not. I care because I might want to put it back on, and if I don't, I do have another car that needs one that I would like cruise control in. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I was trying to figure out why this thing ran like shit, I figured out this vacuum line that runs to the vacuum ball and probably has some control over the cruise control. Definitely has cruise control. Had a massive leak in it, and I tried to fix it, and it just kept falling apart, so I just plugged it, and that's here. Alright, so once you have that clip off, next thing you have to do is compress there's a little tab down here, and there's a same tab up here. You have to compress those or kind of work them out one at a time and feed the cable through the cable bracket. And then after that, you can pull the cable out this way. It'll come up by the master cylinder. You can slide it down and around. There's a vacuum line over top of it on my car. Again, just down and out, nice and easy. All right, so then that pretty much leaves you with just the, all that's left to get out would be the servo or control module, whatever you prefer to call it. I call it the servo, which just bolts in down there. They look pretty rusty, so this might be fun, so I might heat them up real quick. Then after that, we can figure the rest out. There's a vacuum line, so you can go ahead and pull that one off the top of the servo, and you're gonna need to plug that, most likely, because that runs to your vacuum ball. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Right, so these were a little rusty, so they felt bigger than a 1/2 inch, but looks like they're just 1/2 inch bolts. Nice and easy. Looks like there's just 2 of them, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so now those are out, so we should be able to pull the servo out, minus that line on the top. I think it's another vacuum line. Might be a reference signal or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one out. So there you have it. That is, oh, I lied. I have a connector too. So this connector looks a little funky, but what I would do is get a right angle pick in there and pull up on that tab, and then just slide this big fat boy out of there. All right, so we got cruise control deleted now. We have a ton of space over here. And I think as far as helping with my cold air intake project and clearance, I don't really know if it's going to make much of a difference. I think the charcoal can is still more of a problem. Maybe I can relocate this thing in the future, maybe over here, closer to the horn. But for now, that's good enough. We're going to go ahead and move this and get the intake on. So there you have it. That's cruise control delete. Like I said, make sure you plug these vacuum lines. You're also going to have to plug this big boy. You know, since it's so big, you're going to have a little bit more of a leak. All you need is a bolt close to the same size, and just jam it in there and it'll be okay. Don't really have much to worry about there. But other than that, that's all it is. It's pretty simple. Makes this side of the engine bay look a little bit cleaner. You know, this side's still cluttered, but It's definitely a nice touch. Open some space up a little bit. You'd be good to go. So my cruise control stopped working like long before I did an engine swap in this thing or anything, but just like look how dry rotted and flat this vacuum line is. Like, I don't think that was doing anything at all, but whatever. It's out of the way now. I'm just gonna tuck these down in here for now. I'm actually not even sure what I still have going to the vacuum ball in there. And I'm kind of curious if I even need it at all at this point. The engine really, I'm assuming the vacuum ball somehow runs back to the power brakes, but I'm not positive. That could be, actually no, that's fed straight off the intake. So I think I can delete the vacuum ball too, but like I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of like just deleting stuff just to delete it. You know, normally I do like having heat, but if you've ever done a heater core in one of these, it sucks. You're pulling most of the dash out to do it. So I can live without heat. I don't drive this in the winter anyway, but I know some people are like, oh, AC delete. I like AC, you know. I like not having a sweaty back when I get out of my race car, regardless of, you know, whatever. I'm not competing, so the extra, like, 100 pounds it might add really isn't killing me. But I deleted cruise control because it was getting in the way. I never use it. I don't even use it in my Corvette. So what was the point of me keeping it? It served no purpose, and it didn't work. Rather than fix it, it was just easier to take it out. But, yeah, we're going to go from there. All right, so that's intake. It's on. I don't really think deleting cruise control helped a whole lot. It is still lower than the radiator, except for here, but that's okay because it's still parallel with the upper radiator support, so it doesn't hit. It's okay. Again, I think if I move this thing out of the way, it'll fall right into a good spot and be great, and I could even build an airbox around it, and that'd be, you know, even cooler. But yeah, it's on there. I need to zip tie it. It's a little close to the water pump down in there, but other than that, I can zip tie it up against the fan shroud. Be good to go. Last thing we need to do is the heater delete or bypass or whatever you want to call it, and then we're good to go. And we, you know, cruise week prep's done, and we actually like have time to relax before cruise week starts. All right, so I went to Napa and AutoZone looking for just plain heater hose, and I don't know if the guys were dumb or if they didn't have it, but they're like, oh, well, what car is it for? And that's not really what I'm trying to do. I told them I just need like 3 feet of straight, plain 3/4 and 5/8 heater hose. And that was just too much for them. So I'm going to go to our shop tomorrow, I guess, and grab a couple feet and throw that in here, and it should be fine. Yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. A good few days of cruise week prep. Got a lot done despite the fact that it was raining the whole time. It kind of sucks that the Camaro's not going to make it, but at least the Corvette will be there. This will be there, and my brother's C6Z will be there. It'll be a good time.